Welcome, Christ the King, and anyone who's tuning in tonight to Christ the King State of the Church. This is our second webinar that we are doing so that you, as members of the church, or even people who are friends of the church, get to hear what's happening at Christ the King, what we are working on as we are not able to be in person, and just a couple of reminders as we are gathered tonight. You will only see the four of us on the screen. Carrie Bean, our council president, who is waving to you. Kelly Viles, our vice president, who is gathered. Pastor Dara, I think you all know her, and myself, Pastor Nate. We are happy to be here and share with you what's going on at Christ the King. After we are done presenting our information, there will be a question and answer time, and we invite your questions that we will answer. Just a reminder, we want to be safe on all the things that we're doing. We want to be transparent, and we want you to know what is going on at your church so that you can be on top of the information that we have. So I'm going to pass it over to Carrie Bean. She's going to share a little bit from council and what's been happening in her corner of ministry.
Thanks so much, Pastor Nate. I just wanted to share with you all that it's not just on the pastor's shoulders to be in charge of all of the things that are running the church. While they're taking the brunt of it, the council's been very active as well. And I did attend a Zoom meeting for council presidents in our synod, and it was very informative, and we learned a lot about protocols for health issues and learned a lot about the virus itself. And we learned about all the things that are happening around our synod in ways that other churches are connected, are trying to connect with their membership, and just really being very cognizant that it's important to us, all of us, that we are still acting as a church, even though we are a church that cannot meet in person at this point. So very, very informative, and I'll be continuing to keep in contact with them through different forms of social media and emails, and just grateful to our synod for being very proactive in that. In addition to that, I wanted you to know that the council has continued to meet on Zoom, and the executive committee has continued to meet weekly as needed, just to make sure that we all are on the same page and that we all understand what's happening, because as you know, things can change very rapidly in our national and our state levels as far as what we're directed to do. And so we're just trying to make sure that everyone has the latest information. Today, in fact, I attended 2 different meetings online about what is the state of education and what is that going to look like for us. So I know that Joy Poffenroth, our choir director, has also been very active in that. So the leaders of your church are concerned. We know that we want to be together, and we're trying to find ways to do that online, and we're trying to find ways to do that safely. So please trust your leaders and keep in contact, and please ask us questions if you have them. We're open to questions, and we want to make sure that you know that we're looking out for the best of everyone in our church. Ministry is still happening, and we're going to find out more about that from Pastor Nate and Pastor Dara, as well as Kelly Viles, in just a second. So please ask if you have any questions. Kelly?
All right. So sometimes I sit back and kind of wonder how we got so lucky with Aubrey sometimes. She is amazing with the finances and has been at our disposal and has put together, I touched base with her yesterday, and just wanted to kind of update you guys on how everything was going with the finances at the church. So first of all, thank you to Aubrey, and a huge pat on the back for being so awesome and keeping us all in the loop. We did apply for the Paycheck protection program, and we're approved for that since the last time that we met. We're using this now to cover the full-time staff wages and benefits, as well as the utilities for the church. Also, she helped apply for the mortgage relief at this time, and that will lessen the mortgage by making interest-only payments, and that helps alleviate a lot of cash flow. So, and in combination with both of those, giving has been really wonderful. Everybody's been kind of stepping it up and pledging and sticking to what they pledged or increasing that. And so we want to recognize the wonderful job that everybody has done stepping up to help care for the church, even though we can't be together. So yeah, that's about it for the finances. Everything is so far so good. So keep up the good work, and we're doing great.
Thanks so much, Kelly, for that report and for being in touch with Aubrey to share that information. When it comes to staff, we have been really busy with a multitude of different things. Now that Safer at Home has been lifted, we have entered into a new chapter of what it looks like at Christ the King. Pastor Nate's going to talk about our phased re-entry is what we're calling it in a little bit. But what that essentially means for staff is that starting this week, we have office hours. The office is open from 8 to noon, 8 to 1, sorry, Monday through Thursday, correct? Yes. 8 to 1, Monday through Thursday. So not saying that everyone should stop by, but if you have like an immediate thing, there is someone in the office to answer your phone call and to potentially help you out. So the office is open. Many staff will be working from home still. And so staff have the option of being at home or in the office, and so our staff are making the choices and the decisions as based on what they feel most comfortable with, and we are respectful of that. So everyone is still working. It just could be in the office now. So we also have, like I said, staff have been continuing to do their work. There are 2 retirements that we have to share. That's a new development since last month. Jane Weingart, who's been with us from the beginning, basically, in a multitude of roles, most recently serving as in a custodial role in care of our building. She is retired in mid-May. And Shirley Foote has announced that she will be retiring, and she will be wrapping up her time with us in mid-June. So we're still figuring out what all of that means. And there's going to be some changes for sure, but we will keep you posted on those as those come about. Nate, you're still muted.
Thank you, Pastor Dara. And thank you, Carrie and Kelly, for your leadership on council, as well as our other council members. Really just give thanks for your support and the support of the congregation, who's been very understanding during this time. Can't do it without you, can't do it without your prayers. Appreciate your support in many ways that you offer, not only to us, but people in the community. Countless people we have called part of the church who said, hey, someone's already taking care of me. So thank you for loving your neighbor and taking care of people. Just a word to share with people. The church has never been closed. Although we cannot meet in person, we've still been working from home, still working behind the scenes and making sure that worship is happening each week, making sure that ministries are continuing to move forward, making sure that some of the plans we had for this year, like painting of the church, is still continuing to happen. Those things we still can make happen because they come out of different pockets and different places where money is for us. So, but your staff has been working very hard to make sure that we're still being very relational and connecting with you. And again, we appreciate your patience and your understanding through these times. Tonight, we are going to share a video that comes from the Appleton Conference. It comes from the pastors of the churches in the Appleton area, reaching as far. Yes, Pastor Dara.
Sorry, we had a change in plans. It's not going to work out to share it. That's a new update, but it will be shared on social media later.
So a little bit later, we'll have a message that is in solidarity with other ELCA congregations in the Valley. It is 18 churches, but multiple people, specialized ministry, and even some deacons we're sharing the message of how together we are working, not as individual congregations, but together united as the ELCA. So I give thanks for this opportunity to work with colleagues, and we will share that video with each of us, kind of giving you a state of where we are in this process of COVID-19. So be watching for that, and I'm sure that we will post that on our website too, if you don't catch that on social media. As Pastor Dara said, we're working on a phased reopening plan, or re-entry plan, if you will. Staff is now back in the office, or at least some of them are. We want to be very wary of people who have lower immune systems, or have people in their homes who might be susceptible. And we want to still, even though people are going back to work and there are places opening, we're still not over COVID-19. There are still safety concerns. There are still very real issues that are going on. We need to be very safe. And whenever we gather more than 2 or 3 together, we just need to make sure that we're doing safe practices of social distancing, wearing masks, washing our hands, and being careful and aware of the other person. We might be fine, we might be comfortable, but the person we're with may not be. So I just encourage you to have that awareness wherever you may be, whether it's a store or at home or on the street. Continue to practice and be safe with people you are with. So we're kind of entering into a phase where you're seeing the church be open a few hours in the day, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 1. And we're going to continue to see that as it is safe to do that. We are social distancing as we are at church, and at times we will have masks on just to be sure that whoever we're with is protected and safe as well. We are also asking anybody who does come to church to sign in, so that in case there would be an exposure, we are able to contact and be responsible of who might be potentially exposed as well. And it makes it easier to remember if it was 2 weeks ago who was in the church. So please follow those directions by Maureen as she's in the office, or anyone else who might come to the door, so that we can be safe. We are at this time not having really any groups larger than 10, but we are not intending to have meetings and things of that nature until we can all be together. Some churches might be having church, or they might be saying people A through G can come to church, and then H through M. We really believe that everybody should be together at church, rather than limiting it to just a few people. So we are waiting till we get to that point where it is safe for all of us to gather and be together. And that's pretty much the message too of the other Appleton ELCA congregations. Our bishop, our national church, from our presiding bishop, and following the health professionals as well as the science behind all of this. We hope, as you saw this Sunday, to continue to record worship in the sanctuary. That's a new step for us. We have a few technical things that still need to be installed in the church, but when we are able to manage that, we will also welcome Heather and music leader into the sanctuary as well, so that we can share music with you, hopefully by mid-June, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see based on installation and how the equipment works. So we are really excited to be able to do that and get ready for that. If you check our website out on the homepage, we have a number of what is the word I'm looking for? A number of links that we have. There we go, yeah.
References and resources.
Yes, links and resources of what Carrie has talked about, of what Pastor Dar and I have been seeing with our bishop and our synod, and what has been being offered to us about how to do re-entry and some of the precautions we need to take. So we wanted you to have that information. So we have that on our website. You'll see COVID-19 as you come into the home page, and there'll be a number of links that follow as you scroll down the page to look at that. We know that as we prepare for a time when we will come together, that our practices of Holy Communion, our communal singing will probably look a little different for safety purposes, and also just in spreading of germs, we want to be safe. So we don't have anything really nailed down at this point, but we are looking at various options. People are being very creative in the church, and we're kind of seeing what works. And when we do gather, as we come together, church is probably going to look different as the world looks different. We are learning so much in this short amount of time, but again, it's for the safety. It's for everyone to be able to be together. So we're working on that as we speak. And again, we shared this in the last webinar. We need to continue to be spiritually resilient. Together, we are praying. Together, we are supporting. Together, we are calling upon. Together, we are working. So that spiritual resilience allows us to adapt to the changing environment that we are in, to the situations that are going on. And again, I can't tell you how much Pastor Dar and I appreciate your patience when a microphone's not working or some technical glitch is coming on. But understand we are doing our best to make sure that we are bringing you a quality service, as well as being faithful and spiritual as well. One last thing for me, and then I'm going to pass it back to Pastor Dar. You've been hearing a lot from me right now. The painting project that we have been working on to the exterior of the church. We knew that it was going to happen at some point. We had the boards have been secured to the building with 2,400 screws, 20 hours of people with their electric drills screwing the screws in to make sure that the boards are pulled tight. Replacing some boards. It has been power washed, caulking has been put on, and we should see the painters there over the course of the next week or so, depending on what the weather provides. But our church should be painted. Again, thank you to many of you who have continued to give toward this project after our building project was completed. So it is because of those funds in a separate place than our general fund that we've been able to continue forward in making sure that our building is safe and is painted. Pastor Dara.
Once again, I get the joy of reporting back to you all on the work that our incredible directors of faith formation have been doing. They have been working really hard to deliver some really great programming and some really great community building and relationship building with our young people. So we give thanks for them and the work that they have done so far. Kayla was working with confirmation age students, the confirmation program, and high school. So there were middle school meetups happening. We had our end of the year confirmation classes, kind of a wrap up time together. And then there was high school youth group happening all weekly. Middle school meetups and high school youth group were happening weekly. That's winding down for this school year. Those will both make a return in the fall. Susie has been meeting on Monday nights with 4th through 6th graders. Get this, she spends like 3 hours in Zoom meetings. And I got to be in one of those with 4th graders once. And let me tell you, Zooming with a bunch of 4th graders is an adventure. There were backgrounds changing constantly and everyone was moving. I loved it. But not everyone functions with the same kind of excitement and vibration that I do sometimes. So we give thanks for the work that Susie has done and the incredible ministry. Those meetups will be winding down, the weekly meetups will be, but what she has learned from the 4th through 6th graders is that those who are coming regularly really value that time with their friends. And so she is looking at doing bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks, meetups through the summer for a combination of 4th through 6th graders all together. So it'll be like a little youth group junior type thing that's forming through those. So we look forward to those happening. Be on the lookout for a date of the start of that. Mission trip. This was a hard one. With changes in policies from YouthWorks and more information coming out, we had to make the difficult decision to cancel the mission trip for this year. That was a hard conversation to have with our high school students. Honestly, though, many of them saw it coming, and they had already realized in the back of their head that that was a possibility. So we stand with them in their grief, but then we also stand with them and look forward to empowering them to serve in other capacities in whatever is fitting for them this summer. All the fundraised money, so the students put in a lot of payments, and then as you all know, there was a lot of fundraising that they did throughout the year. Any payments that they paid or their families paid have been refunded or will be refunded to them. And then the fundraised money will carry over to 2021 when there's a national youth gathering. So all of that money that you guys gave as a church to youth ministry will still go towards youth ministry. It'll just be carried over into the next year to make the national youth gathering more of a possibility for our students. So we give thanks for your generosity in making that, in making youth a priority. And they will have a faith-forming experience next summer through the National Youth Gathering happening in Minneapolis. You know, faith formation is always an adventure, but on staff, we're buckling up for more of an adventure starting this fall. Just today, Pastor Nate and I met with our directors of faith formation to start doing some consideration and dreaming of what confirmation and Christian education will look like next year. Should we be in a similar boat as where we are now? So stay tuned. We're going to be pioneering some cool stuff, which is both exciting and terrifying at the same time. So keep Susie and Kayla in your prayers because they are the ones leading that bus.
A lot of moving parts, but nonetheless, we are trying to consider what it means for us to be Christ the King, what it means for us to be children of God, what it means to be in relationship with one another. We truly want to be making and creating strong bonds with one another, as well as with our Lord and Savior. So we take that very seriously, and we are working on ways in which, whether we have to do this online and virtually, or whether we do it in person, we want to make sure that faith life is still growing, and that they know Christ the King cares about them, loves them, and wants them to be relational with one another. We have been working on summer worship. We had a team meeting about what it would be to go to one worship on Sunday and then have an alternate worship service during the midweek for people who might be gone on the weekends. With the way it's looking, we probably won't have opportunity to make that happen this summer. So instead of having a all hands-on meeting for the Christ the King family, we're going to wait for the annual meeting in which to bring this information to have further discussion about. Gives us a little more time to plan, but also makes a little more sense for 2021 to be a year of revealing that and bringing that out. So I want to say thank you to the team who was gathered together, who wrestled with some of the questions, and I think came up with a great plan for worship during the midweek, but as well as Sundays. And we hope that next year will be the year that we can share that with one another. It's time, well, question and answer. So I'm going to try and explain that. Or Pastor Dara, I'm going to let you explain that.
So
question and answer. We're going to open up. Adam will be opening up for you the opportunity to ask questions. What you're going to see is a change in your window in your screen, and there should be a little box that pops up that leaves you space to type in a question. I am also, because I know everyone watches on different devices, and honestly, I'm not quite well versed in this whole webinar technology to walk iPad users and phone users and computer users through everything. Oh, Adam just texted me. He's in the basement behind a computer monitoring this for us. He just texted me, said, if you're on a mobile device, you will need to hit a button in the upper left-hand corner to pop in a question. Folks, if all else fails, I've got my phone in front of me. I can pull up my email. So my email address too, if you can't find a way to pop in a question, but you have a question you're dying to ask, feel free to email me. My email address is dclifford@christ-the-king.org. So as you pop your questions into the box, I can see them on my screen here as they come in. I'm just going to talk a little bit more as we wait for those questions to come in. One of the things that people have been asking us is they're saying, how can we contribute to being part of bringing God's love to life when we can't gather in person? How can we participate in bringing God's love to life during this time? So are you ready for this? Because we've got a whole list of things and ways for you to engage in the ministry of this church. Because as Pastor Nate said before, the church never closed. Ministry is still happening, just in a little bit different way than what we're used to. So ways to contribute and participate. Tuesday morning Bible study happens every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. We have book studies happening. It's not too late to register for those. You might have to read a couple extra chapters, but you can still register for a book club. Pastor Nate is leading one on, it's called The Book of Joy. I'm leading one. My book is called Is That Poop on My Arm? Parenting While Christian. And continuing to lift up prayer and be present with the church through prayer. So those are ways to participate. Now, if you want to contribute to and be part of this, not saying that going to Bible study isn't part of it, you're still bringing God's love to life through engaging in community. These are some opportunities and places where you could help out. Every week we send out an email. It's our constant contact, our e-news blast. And in that email, there's usually a link to our blog that's on our website. So it's two birds, one stone. We are looking for blog writers, people to share with us stories about how they've seen God's love come to life. That's it. So if you don't mind writing out a story of how you've seen God's come to life that you can share with the congregation, you're going to want to email Maureen, and she will help you out with collecting that story, and then she'll get it into our e-news blast and onto our website. We have our prayer chain email that goes out. I wish I had a pen because I have a big list here that I wish I could just check stuff off. We have our prayer chain email. Continue praying for people. Worship readers. We are still using, at this point, we have pre-recorded readings from folks. We are grateful for all the people who have shared readings in worship. And if that's something you would be interested in doing, pre-recording a reading for us, send me an email. And I will be happy to give you a date and a reading, and I will tell you all about how you can submit videos to do that. We're open to gathering musical offerings. If you have special music, or if you would like to sing or play an instrument, you would submit a video for that, and we can make that happen and fit that into our worship service. You can tune in to our Facebook page on Thursday nights and Saturday mornings. On Thursday nights, Joy offers a wonderful musical meditation live on our Facebook page. On Saturday mornings, Heather leads our coffee house, which is held through Zoom. There's a different link, or I don't remember if it's the same link or a different link. But there's a link that we share in our weekly e-news blast. That's where you can find that. And happens in Zoom. You bring your own coffee. You hang out with the folks in the coffee house, and Heather will play some music for you every now and then, just like if you were in a regular coffee house in person. Other ways to continue to participate in bringing God's love to life, continuing to give. We're grateful for that. And then just subscribe to our newsletter. Know what's going on at church. We're grateful to be able to share that information with you, and sometimes it's helpful, and just to know what's happening, just to know the things that we're working on. So that was a really long list, and I'm going to pass.
Oh, we have one more.
Go.
We have one more. Consider being.
Oh yeah.
For the future, a table guide for confirmation. Or even for our Christian education 4th through 6th grade. We're looking for people who are interested in being in small groups. We try to keep those groups 6 or less, in which you relate to our young people to just have that more intimate conversation. And we want, an adult that people can relate to throughout the year on a consistent basis. So if you are willing to do that or consider that, even though you may not have children that are of that age, or you've done it in the past and it's been a while, I've really seen the benefits of people who have done it in the past, who just hang with those students and really just share the love of God, the love of Christ with people. And it is amazing to see those connections and bonds that are made. So consider that for the fall. We are hoping to be in person, but if it's not, we will help you with what it is to be an online guide, as we would have breakout sessions with a guide and their small group during the time of confirmation especially. So please consider that, pray about that, pray for people in which we can have be a part of that. And I think that wraps it up for here. Pastor Dara, how are you doing with questions?
Yeah, we have a few questions. So first, Susie reminded us, she was so tactful. She said, do you want to say anything about VBS? Thank you, Susie, for that reminder. VBS will still happen this summer, just not in person. And so stay tuned for that. There will be different delivery methods, and we'll still plan on there being a VBS program this summer. But again, just like everything else, it's going to look a little bit different. So thank you, Susie, for reminding us of that. Another question that came in is somebody asked, can I drop my weekly giving envelopes off at church? The answer to that is yes. Nate, could you chime in a little bit? Will the door be unlocked, or do people need to ring the doorbell?
Doors will be unlocked from 8 to 1, Monday through Thursday. It's possible we might be there at other times, but those are the times specifically we are open and ready. So if you would like to drop off your offering, we would receive it at that time. If for people who are mailing theirs in, we are checking the mail now each day, but we have been checking it regularly. So when it does come in, we are making 2 drops throughout the week to make sure that that gets taken care of, so that Aubrey can stay on top of that, and she's got a great system worked out for that. So we appreciate that question. We appreciate your support, and yes, please bring it in.
Another question is about quilters. Can quilters, group less than 10, start meeting monthly at church? So the short of that is we don't have groups meeting unless they're groups smaller than 10. We don't have them meeting at church until we begin phase 2 of our reopening. So we don't know when that will be. Nate, do you want to say more about that?
Yeah, we are hoping that that will be 4 to 8 weeks from this week. So that could be as early as July or the end of June, but it may be slightly later. So we will announce when that time comes, and a group like that, if a group has potential to be more than 10, we're going to ask that they don't meet. But if you know that you're going to keep it under 10, so that there is the social distance, so that there is safety measures being taken care of. And of course, then there is the sanitizing we need to do afterwards. We want to try and keep that all in check so that we can manage that well. So be patient. We're close, but not quite there yet. So appreciate the question. I know a lot of people, are we ready to do communion visits in home? Are we able to meet our shut-ins? And again, we're refraining from that at this point. If somebody's in the hospital, they only allow one person in. And really, as pastors and as people, we want to be safe and make sure that our community is safe. So if we really don't have to go, we're still planning to not go until things clear up a little bit better. And we can be a little more assured that we'll be safe when we enter a hospital. But there are emergencies. Then we'll have to take measures after that. But we will do our best to make sure that we can connect with family for the needs that you may have. A little bit more than he asked, but there we go.
So Heather sent me an email, just an update when it comes to musical offerings. You'll want to be in touch with Heather for that. The big thing is if you would like to offer a musical offering, we have copyright things that we have to work with. So she'll give you some suggestions if it's a piece younger than 70 years. But basically she said if it's a piece old, if it's a classical piece, I'm going to read what she said. It can be classical music in the public domain, which means older than 70 years old. So just be in touch with Heather if you would like to lift up some kind of special music. I have another email that I heard just come in. That wasn't a question, so great. I think that's it. That's all the questions that came in through Teams. I'm not seeing anything new in my email.
Allow me to segue then. No, we just wanted to kind of wrap up with some thank yous. I know Carrie and I both have some people that we kind of wanted to address. Just in general, the staff who have adjusted so well and are making sure that ministry is still happening, even though we're not all together. And also to the rest of the council and their flexibility, willingness to meet on an as-needed basis, and for their commitment to just keep the church a priority, while we're going through all of this, to make sure that things are still getting done and that everybody's keeping the well-being of the church a priority. So we are thankful to all of you.
Absolutely. And I really want to lift up our leaders, our pastors in front of you tonight, because without them, we would be lost. And I want to make sure that they stay safe and that they stay healthy and that they continue to lead us in the best possible way that they can. And so thank you for your respect for what they're doing, and please offer your prayers to support them, because I believe Pastor Dara has said this, I've never led a church before and through a pandemic, and nobody has, and we're all just doing the very best that we can, and I'm trying to be the best teacher that I can online, and we're all just really learning about this. But I think the number one thing we have to remember is that we want to keep everyone safe, and we especially want to keep our leaders safe. So I know the grief that you're feeling. I remember one of Pastor Dara's recent sermons that the discomfort that you're feeling right now is grief, and we're all feeling it. And just please remember that we're all just wanting the very best for our church. So thank you to our pastors. Thank you also to our lay leaders, those people who have really picked up some of the slack, helped out where they can, knowing that Pastor Dara and Pastor Nate have been thrown into new things. We've got people that are offering their support in lots of different ways. So we're very appreciative of all of the leaders that are stepping up. I really want to say thank you to those people who are making phone calls to the members. One of the things that came out in my president's meeting is that, you know, this need for connection. We are people that like to be with people. And as we continue to get deeper into this physical distancing from our friends and from our church family, that it's still really important to make those connections. So if you haven't been called, if you want to be called, if you want to start making connections even orally through a phone call from members, please reach out, let one of us know, send an email to the church, make a comment on the Facebook page, anything, because we want to still continue to make connections, because that is who we are. That's what our church does. And that's one of the things that keeps bringing us together. And that's one of the things that we're so longing for, and we recognize that. So let's see if we can make that those connections even stronger. And let us know if there's anybody who needs assistance. If you hear of anyone, or if you are in need of assistance, we are here to help, and we have resources to do that. So please just keep us together, and we look forward to the day that we can meet, and we can meet in groups of more than 10, and we can get together in our quilting groups and in our church choir, not to sing probably, but at least to be communal and enjoy each other's company. So thank you to everybody. It's just been a pleasure to be a leader in our church, and our council is full of strong people who have great ideas, and we're just here to support you and let us know of any way that we can.
Thank you again, Carrie and Kelly, for your leadership with the council, and for being on the camera tonight and helping out once again with this webinar. If there aren't any other questions, why don't we close our time with a word of prayer and be sent into the evening and whatever is presented in the days ahead. So let us join our hearts in prayer. Gracious God, you call us to be the body of Christ, and no matter where we are that body being shared and spread your good news message. As we leave the Easter season, as we embrace Pentecost and the diversity of what that means to hear your voice in all the different languages, in the cacophony and the confusion and the chaos and the disruption, be with us as we are feeling that in this COVID-19 time, so that we might be united in a message that is about love, a message that is about caring, a message of compassion, a message of the unity that you find in the body. We give thanks in this time as well. Tonight, we give thanks for seniors and graduates as they take a step in their lives of moving forward in their learning and education. We give thanks for educators and teachers, for many people on the front lines, for our healthcare professionals, for many people who are hurting and broken, whether it be from COVID-19 or in other ways. We are learning to grieve and learning to care for one another in different ways, but help us to be conduits and that voice of your love in this world that is broken and hurting, but is also being revived and seeing in this springtime your ways of bringing life, even in the midst of these difficulties. So help us listen to creation, help us listen to how you are working in our lives individually and collectively, so that we might bring your love to life. We give thanks for this congregation, for the resilience that we have, and for the connections we have through technology. Help us to be patient, to be calm, to be wise, to be loving and compassionate, and in many other ways in which we can be the body spread throughout the world as you use us. We give thanks that we have these opportunities, and we ask that you continue to use us in such ways to bring about your kingdom here on earth and for what is to come through your Son, Jesus Christ. May we all say amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. God's peace. Be safe, be well. We'll be together once again. Until then, we'll see you online.
Good night, everyone.